Odds are that when you first started fusing, you did your first project using somebody else's documentation, detailing everything you needed to know in order to assemble and fuse the project. And as time went by, you probably found that what worked for somebody else in their kiln with their glass choices isn't working exactly the same way for you, and you had to make some adjustments in order to get things to come out the way you wanted. Most of my fused glass is intended to be used as pieces leaded into stained glass panels. I use black and brown high-fire stained glass paint for lines and shading, but I rely on frit for all other color, and often use custom molds made to add shape and texture to the pieces. Sometimes I'm looking for something that may be a little whimsical. Well, at other times, my work needs to be tightly controlled. Whatever outcome I'm after, I found that as projects become more complex and the different materials used become more diverse, the need for detailed documentation becomes more important if you want to be able to repeat successful results or logically and predictably refine techniques to improve outcomes. Back in 2007, Bullseye copyrighted a fusing log form, which they intended to capture all the information that you need in order to reliably reproduce results, or at least serve as a record of what was done that might have led to your failure. The form is still available today as a PDF, and it's downloadable for free from Bullseye's website. The biggest problem with this form is it takes a lot of time to fill out. And that makes it difficult for some of us who maybe are a little lazy to document our work as consistently as we should, or perhaps even to do any documentation at all. Today's electronic technology, though, allows us to capture and organize information much more quickly and easily than it was possible to do in the past with just paper and pencil. But the Bullseye form is still pretty much the gold standard for defining all the specific bits of information that might affect fusing outcomes. Bullseye very graciously is happy for us to use and modify their copyrighted form to better suit our needs, since, as they have indicated, we designed that form to help people succeed. So I'm going to show you in this video how I use an iPad to electronically manage my documentation process using a modified version of the Bullseye form. Of course, the same approach is possible using other types of devices such as Android tablets or even smartphones. So if you don't have an iPad, it shouldn't be hard for you to adapt what I do for whatever computing device it is that you use. The first thing I do is to use a PDF editor, and a lot of programs can do this, including some free ones. And I use the editor to make some changes to the Bullseye form, generally just to make it more compatible with all the stuff that I have in my studio. I added items such as kiln names. I've got 3 kilns, so I listed all those, and then I added a shelf type for one that wasn't on the original form. And well, Bullseye naturally lists thin fire as a shelf release, but sometimes I use papyrus, so I added that. And now I can just circle items that I use on a particular project. The original form had asked for a sketch of the glass layout and a written description of the results. With my iPad, photos can be inserted into the form, and used instead of drawings and text descriptions. So I enlarged the space for results to accommodate the photos. I like the before and after pictures right there together with each other, but sometimes stuff gets buried as you're building your fusing project and doesn't show up in a simple before photo of just showing the glass as it sits on the shelf right before you put it in the kiln. So with an additional area for photos, I can put work in progress pictures in there to show development of my project at different stages and revealing all the materials and layout as I put them on, or maybe some additional views of the after photo. But at any rate, I just added more space because I really like photos in there. It's really nice with the electronic version to be able to zoom in and really take a good close look at what was on the shelf before and what the project looked like afterwards. Well, so after I customize everything on the form the way that I want, I just save it out as a new PDF. Now, on my iPad, I got a program called GoodNotes, which I use to collect and organize the documentation. And it's basically just a note-taking app, and there are many programs available that are capable of managing the data this way, regardless of what operating system or hardware you're using. Now, I chose GoodNotes because it was well reviewed, it had all the features I needed, and it was available for a relatively low one-time fee, so I didn't need to keep paying for a subscription that a lot of the programs are requiring now. GoodNotes allows me to import my modified Bullseye form as a background page image. I simply create a document, which I called my fusing log, and I have the form in there as the default background. So every time I add a page, I get a fresh blank log form added to my fusing log. I can write, type, draw, add photos, or even use voice control to enter my information on the page over this modified form.
Insert date.
I can add or erase or delete whatever markings, photos, or text is on there without affecting the underlying form at all. It's really easy to use. Especially the ability to easily add photos, which, as they say, are worth 1,000 words, has a huge benefit, providing way more information than a sketch and some written remarks on the results, and with a lot less effort. But still, listing all the glass colors, and including the powders and the frits, the different sizes, plus stringers, not to mention all the times and temps for a firing schedule, and then maybe possibly some goals or comments to remind us of what we thought was going to happen in the kiln, and remarks on what we actually observed. You know, that's still a lot of time-consuming stuff to fill in. But fortunately, there are some shortcuts. For one, the iPad has voice control that lets you enter some information in text very reliably just by speaking. When I say comparing results for linear construction when elements are laid perpendicular as opposed to in line with the direction of slide, the text gets popped right in with no errors. But if I say true blue sheet medium, I'm just as likely to get something I don't want. Voice recognition isn't just listening to your pronunciation as you speak. What it does is uses artificial intelligence, and it assumes that you are saying something sensible and then is using the context to decide exactly what the words are that you're saying. If you speak in normal sentences or phrases, it's really amazing. But if you're trying to enter something like a disjointed list of glass colors and types, you're going to get pretty frustrated because it's going to make a lot of mistakes. So typically I'll start out by turning on voice control and telling it to enter the date, and then I'll just add any goals or comments that I have, and then turn the voice control off. If I forget to turn off the voice control, my iPad keeps listening, and then it's going to type in whatever it hears anytime that I've got a text box open. So voice control is nice, but it's limited in what it can do for you. Regarding the materials list, like I've got dozens of colors of glass, especially in frits and powders. But for most projects, I'm using a relatively limited palette. Usually, the colors that I typically use together can be grouped that way as a palette. So I might have, for instance, a summer garden palette that has the colors that I like to use for like botanical theme pieces. Or I could have a warm palette or a cool palette or whatever would include all the or almost all of the colors that I might ordinarily want to use for a particular type of project, or maybe even just to suggest a particular mood. So I create these palettes. Program GoodNotes has a feature called stickers, which are typically like little icons, hearts, flowers, smiley faces that you insert into your document. But GoodNotes allows me to create my own stickers, and you can create a sticker from a large block of text. And if you create a sticker from a block of text, it comes back as an editable block of text wherever you insert that sticker. So I can type out my palette once, save it as a sticker, and then the next time I want to use that palette, all I have to do is select that sticker and insert it into the document. And in addition to just listing the colors, I follow the color with a list of abbreviations indicating the form of the glass that's being used. I have SH indicating that I used cut sheet glass, ST, stringers, and then I have the numbers 1 through 5 designating frit size, 1 being powder and 5 being large chunks. And then if necessary, I can add or edit in a color that's not included in the predefined palette if I need to. Once I have the sticker inserted with the appropriate palette, I can just go through and quickly circle all the materials that I actually wound up using in that project. That really cuts down on the time involved in listing your materials. And then the stickers too work great for the firing schedules as well. I mean, you can make a sticker for a tack fuse, a sticker for a full fuse, or whatever schedules it is that you are typically using. It's editable text, so if you want to do a full fuse but you want to slow down the first ramp, you can just go in and change that number after you've put in the full fuse sticker. Really, working on my iPad, it has been terrific. Everything gets backed up automatically to the cloud. Plus, the app syncs everything with a copy of GoodNotes that I have on my iPhone. So I can add photos or edit text from my phone as well as from the iPad. Nothing gets lost. Nothing gets eaten by the dog. I can access my fusing information basically from anywhere just by looking at my phone. And it's easy to share my project details with other fusers if I want to. So for me, going electronic with the Bullseye form has really made a huge difference. The system is so quick and so useful that I actually use it consistently. Looking back sometimes at pieces that I made years ago when I thought I'd always remember everything I did and I wasn't taking any notes, I'll have no idea how one effect or another was achieved. But I know that in the years to come, I'm going to have a detailed record of exactly what I've done with my projects so that I can reproduce those results, and only because everything is getting documented. So hopefully some of you will find this approach to documentation as useful as I have, and thanks for listening, and happy fusing to you all.